Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Major updates yesterday with Riot Games effectively confirming that a Neon nerf will be coming very soon indeed. Many pro players have explained deeply over the last couple of weeks why Neon is so strong right now and why she needs to be nerfed. Riot have said, look, we're looking into it, some changes will be made, what they'll be, who knows, but also some Scrimbux of the day as well. A couple of new tier 2 teams being linked, and also Sentinels looking rather good in their latest practice. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. First of all, let's start with the Game Changers World Championship. This, of course, has continued over the last couple of days. SR, as we know, are still going to be the favourites to win the entire thing. But there's been a bit of drama, really, with the way the tournament has been done and operated and exactly which teams have been invited from around the world, especially because of the success of Zeta Division Game Changers so far in this tournament. It's actually really cool to see that Zeta, you know, in region, they do a pretty good job, but when they come to these international world championships, Zeta seem to go Super Saiyan, right? So they take down Team Falcons Vega, of course, you know, European team pretty much, with of course Saudi player as well. But yeah, Zeta Division, Japanese lineup with Serena there as well. They get the victory, a 2-0 in the end. They won the Ascents, they won the Haven. It was relatively comfortable, 13-8, 13-7, and that's GG Zeta Division advance. Now, what I will say, there was a bit of drama on this specifically, on which regions get the most teams, because Riot decide of the teams that get invited which teams come from which region. We know that, for example, Brazil, they have one spot, and we don't have Team Liquid Brazil here at the Game Changers World Championship, despite the fact that they're a very good team indeed. Instead, it's MIBR's Brazilian team that's here instead. So, look, they deserve to make it, fair enough, but the argument would be that, as we've seen the last couple of years, Team Liquid Brazil, 3rd in 22, Team Liquid Brazil, 2nd in 23, but because there was only one allocated spot for the Brazilian region, they weren't even at this tournament this year, whereas all the spots that have been given to the European teams over the last few years have not necessarily materialized into actually good results. So that's kind of the debate, and the argument might be that, oh, well, the European teams or the EMEA teams get more slots because, well, they have more organizations that support the scene. Often that's how it tends to seem, at least. And therefore, Riot rewards them or whatever by giving them more spots, effectively, in the VCT. But yeah, it's a tricky one to say whether that's really a good idea or not. And Zeta, they're doing it again. This is back in 2022 when they lost in the first rounds, and then they made a bit of a run. And it seems plausible that something similar could potentially occur again. So keep your eyes on Zeta at this tournament, but as it stands, the bracket looks like this. It is, of course, in a couple of days still when SR versus Zipto gets back underway, but Zeta advance all the way, and of course, over the next couple of days, certainly today, we are going to get some answers on what happens there. But let's talk about Neon. So much drama on this agent over the last couple of weeks, really, and, well, Valorant have now confirmed through Penguin, who's a Val game designer, that they recognize Riot, that Neon is too strong as it stands. I think, really, it's this slide that keeps regenerating. The ultimate lasts for a pretty long time as well. The accuracy while sliding is probably ridiculous, in my opinion. And look, I think Neon is much more fun than she used to be. I mean, she was good, then they kind of changed her, which eventually turned out to be a nerf. They brought her back from the dead. And I think the hope is, for many that want her changed, that, you know, I don't know if many, probably some players do think this way, but my opinion is I don't want Neon to be dead and useless. I'd prefer Neon to be viable in the same way that she was, you know, when Victor would use her on Optic a couple of years ago on Fracture. Like, there were certain maps where she was viable to be played with, but she wasn't as strong as she is today. Certainly with the slide shoot meta, it's kind of out of control right now. So Riot say, we agree that Neon's too strong. We're working on some adjustments to balance out the parts that feel overpowered while maintaining a grounded movement combat fantasy. So, like, they say, look, she's a movement agent. We're going to try and respect that in the changes that we make, but certainly some elements are too strong. Now, obviously, Penguin doesn't go into detail on exactly what they could and would change here, but there is a feeling that Neon will be substantially weaker going forwards. So the timing again is interesting, right? Because the season's going to start in a couple of months' time. We know that the players are grinding hard to get ready for next season, and currently they're practicing a lot with Neon, and understandably so, because she is one of the strongest agents in the entire game right now. That may not be the case in a couple of weeks, and therefore, the Valorant meta is going to change quite substantially. This is natural, this happens, but it's also why you can't, as an organization, choose your team so much based on roles and agents, because if you do that, you're liable to a situation like this when all of a sudden you get Neon Nerf or Jet Nerf or Chamber Nerf, and then the player that you've signed to do well on those roles is all of a sudden struggling. That's why you need a versatile duelist, a Zekken who can do a Neon, a Jet, a Raze, whatever it takes to get over the line. So, look, some of the Neon mains might be struggling, but at least on this occasion, the changes are likely to be happening far before the season actually begins. So the teams have time to adapt. It's not like they've got a couple of weeks to figure out what changes they're going to have to make in order to make this one work. Yeah, he's been talking for some time about trying to get Neon nerfed. Obviously, he's changed roles quite substantially, and he's not really using Neon in the same way that he might have done in the past. So he's been looking for the nerfs. Ye is happy to see that these nerfs are coming through, as I'm sure are many. Obviously, Zelsis even says, look, I told you guys she was a movement agent. That's what officially Riot's line on this actually is. Now, what will they change? I guess that is, the key lesson here that we've got to try and learn very shortly indeed. Now, Sentinels, they give their point of view, which, well, this ain't going to happen, but let's see if there's anything in here we can potentially glean into, because I think the idea of reducing the slide count down to just 1 per round, okay, 1 per match ain't going to happen, but you know what I'm saying, right? Just limit the amount of sliding that Neon can do. The running accuracy, I think, or the sliding accuracy to me is the big one, to be honest. I think the slide is fine, but it's just the fact that the accuracy is so strong on the first bullet that's kind of absurd. So anyway, does she get tired after running and must stand still to regenerate? They're not going to make these changes, but maybe Riot are listening in, could no longer use any weapons. That might be one of the reasons that you can slow her down as well. But speaking of Sentinels, actually, there were a couple of interesting scrims going on yesterday. So we can see here Zeppa and the Cloud9 team, they were playing against Big Bean, Crashies and Penny. So interesting to see that might be Crashies' new team. And that same team playing against Sentinels, actually. So of course there's questions on what the rosters are going to be, whether these are still trials, whether Crashies' roster is actually going to be locked in and stay the same. But of course, Sen, they're trying to get some good practice in going into the new season. Now look, was Zekken in this lobby running the Neon this map? Will the Neon be viable in a couple of weeks? I mean, Neon may well stay viable. The question really is whether Neon is like as good as she currently is, or whether it's only going to be certain players that can actually properly make use of her, whereas right now it's just, most duelists have to run a Neon on certain maps if you want to take advantage. So, I hope the Neon keeps the elements of her character that make her like Neon, rather than getting rid of a lot of the movement stuff. Of course, they want to keep that in the game. I think they just need to make a couple of tweaks. I think the other argument is as well, I think Penguin also replied to this, because some in the reply said, hey, how about instead of nerfing agents, you just buff other ones? And that's always the debate, isn't it, between people saying, oh, well, the agent's fine or nearly fine, let's just make the other ones better. I think for Neon, she probably is too strong. But in the, let's say, the controller role, agents such as Harbor, he hasn't seen much use lately, and, maybe Harbor needs to get a bit better. There's been talk about that. I think even Penguin himself mentioned that, yeah, we are looking at potentially improving Harbor, making some balance changes there. So we will see some meta changes happen. But, Sen up 15-8 in this one. There was also this scrim set that was noted. Sentinels up 14-9 here against BCJ, and the boys, Paint, and of course Pancakes as well. Interesting to see what BCJ's new roster is going to be, of course, after the days on M80 that he had last season, and looking to get revenge, I guess, on what was obviously a very challenging season for him. This was also notable. So NRG, their new roster, scrimming against Stella and Dapper on their new team potentially. So Dapper, of course, on the Oxygen Esports team last year. Stella's been around on a couple of teams over the last few years as well, and now they might well be teaming up going into the new season. So they scrimmed against NRG yesterday, and seemingly they were reasonably competitive in this one, 12-9 at the time of this screenshot going down. And then there was this that was interesting to note as well. So, that team we just saw with Crashies seemingly also featuring Redux as well. So there's been some speculation, what's that going to be? Is it going to be an MXS team, or is it going to be like a Turtle Troop Dark Zero type team? And, they're scrimming against MCE's team here, which I believe maybe is a collegiate roster. So, very much interested in your thoughts on all of this stuff, as always, in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Their belt for Zeta. They needed it. That first half could have been pretty rough to recover from otherwise. Suzu already fighting Madby. Hold on. Oh my god,
Replay.
Serena!
Wait, hello?
Absolutely backhands them out of the park. What the hell was that?
Just a quick,
Wait.
just a quick 4K with
Yeah,
that
let me
ghost.
see this. Not a big deal.
Ooh.
Ooh, that last shot as well. Oh, get the slow-mo.
Oh, it's like a collab.
It's reminding me of that Haven short A play. That one time.
That one time.
That one time. That's such a feel-good round for
Oh,
Serena.